Hare Krishnas, welcome everyone for today morning reading and discussion from Sri ISOPANISHAD. Let us offer prayers together. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashyatai Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gau Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are on the concluding section of the 10th verse, and we're going to start with 11th verse today. Before we start with the 11th verse, we have to discuss about iti shushruma dhiranam yenastat vichachakshre. Mantra 10. Anyadevaho vidyaya Anyadaho vidyaya Iti shushrumadhuranam Yenastat vichachakshire. So one result is obtained by cultivating the culture of knowledge. And for that purpose, Srila Prabhupada quoted the 18 items of knowledge from 13th chapter, verse number 8 to 12 of Bhagavad Gita. What is knowledge? What is the culture of knowledge? And then we had a discussion. Imagine if the society is made up of this kind of educated people. If the foundation of knowledge or education is based on these 18 principles, what would be the situation of the world? That's what we spoke about. It is still dark. Open the curtains, please. It's a morning time. Looks like this session is happening in the evening time. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Maybe we can a little bit open from here. थोड़ा सा. Perfect. थोड़ा कम करिए. Yeah. Fine. What we're talking about? Yeah. So culture of knowledge. And then Anyadahura Vidya, a different, and the different result is obtained by cultivating avidya. And then Prabhupada elaborates on that subject matter, how the modern education system have made an ass out of us. We have only created weapons of mass destruction and distractions both. We have just spoiled the life, not only the human species, but we have become the cause of destruction of all of the species. So much so, many species have become, extinct because of our over exploitation, like this. Now, Swambhuva Manu says, Iti Shushurumadhiranam Yena Sat Vichachakshare. So, my dear Lord, I have heard this truth of life from a Dhira. Who is a Dhira person would be discussed now in the purport. So, it's interesting, although we are speaking of this verse in today's context, but this verse holds this holds true across all the time. It is not that it is true only now in Kali Yuga, at this point of time. It was true as much as in the time of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Satya Yuga, we had Hiranyakashipu, who had created a culture of me science by declaring himself to be the supreme personality of Godhead. Then in Treta Yuga, we had Ravana. He had created a culture of me science by establishing Lanka and exploiting, abducting ladies, wives, and daughters of other men and of other fathers and brothers like that. Like this, in Indo-Africa, we had Kauravas. So, so what is Anya Evahur Vidyaya, the culture of knowledge? Ultimately, the culture of knowledge is Ishavasyam Edam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Taktena Bunjita Magrada Kasya. So when you're looking at these verses, that is a seed verse. It has to be understood in the context of that seed verse. So the Yak culture of knowledge, somebody may ask the question, oh, so what is the foundation of culture of knowledge? The foundation of culture of knowledge is Ishavasyam, to accept and understand and accept the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and accept one's quota, which means law of karma. Because according to that, you get your quota like that. So that's the point. Okay. Iti Shushrumad Hiranam. Let's take a look. Going to the purports. We are on the, we have to read last 3 paragraphs of the purport. Would anyone like to read? May raise their hands. You can read it. Hare Krishna. All right, Mother Rashni, go ahead. We have Mother Ashna,
Is it audible?
One purpose you all can read. Yes, Mother. Go ahead.
The material body, no? The material body.
Sri ISOPANISHAD warns of this faulty mode of education.
Sri Isha Upanishad warns us of this faulty type of education, and the Bhagavad Gita gives instructions as to the development of real knowledge. This mantra states that the instructions of Vidya, knowledge, must be acquired from a Dhira. A Dhira is one who is not disturbed by material illusion. No one can be undisturbed unless he is perfectly spiritually realized, at which time one neither hankers or laments for anything. Adhira realizes that the material body and the mind he has acquired by chance through material association are but foreign elements. Therefore, he simply makes the best use of a bad bargain. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I got a little distracted. Yeah. Dhira, no one can be undisturbed unless until he is perfect spiritual. So who is the Dhira? Who is a sober person? Who is he has perfect spiritual realization. When one is perfectly spiritual, he has no more hankering. Na sochati, na kankshati. Such a Dhira has realized the material body and mind which has acquired by chance are foreign elements. Therefore, simply makes the best use of a bad bargain. All right. Dhira, a sober person. So. There are different paths of yoga. You know, we have Jnana Yoga, we have Ashtanga Yoga, we also have Bhakti Yoga. By the practice of this yoga culture, individuals gradually develop mode of goodness. And when we have cultivated mode of goodness, when you're situated in mode of goodness, you look very calm, composed, unperturbed, etc. But what would be the litmus test for such an apparent Dhira to really be called as Dhira? What would be the litmus test? Just because he or she speaks very softly, very slowly. We have Brahma Kumaris when Mataji, you know, she looks like Dhira, very softly she speaks. Then we have Mayavadi Gurus. We have one fellow, Shankarji, who does not speak only. He's so Dhira. he attracts the hearts by his silence only. You know. So what will be the litmus test to really identify somebody as a Dhira? Your answer for that, you'll have to refer to Upadesha Mrita. You can refer to Bhagavad Gita also. Any thoughts? Because we see online and we look at them, we get attracted and we think he is sadhu, she is saintly woman, etc., etc. But what does the scripture says about it? Any thoughts? All right, you have your hands up. You are signed in. Somebody should be signed in locally. So what they speak is audible.
Dhira means Prabhuji who speak only Krishna Gatha, nothing else, no Prajalpa. One way we can say.
Okay. Shastra Praman though. Thoda Shastra Praman. Say Prabhupada said so and so place. You all are now educated devotees. Don't just say what you're saying is not wrong. I'm not saying that. You know, we have been studying Srila Prabhupada's books for so long. You're about to complete Bhakti Shastri. Cultivate the practice of quoting. Okay, so and so place, I remember Srila Prabhupada writes this. Palana Dikana book, this chapter, this one. So you get it? Otherwise, this becomes Prajalpa. Just to say something. You are not wrong. Again, I'm saying you're right. But I would prefer in this forum now, you all have grown up. So quote either one Shastra Praman or Srila Prabhupada's quotation like that. Yes, Vittal Prabhu. Mike, whoever has it quickly. Online audience will not be able to hear.
The Prabhupada gives example of Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva.
Like how, like he told, like one who can control his senses is known as Dhira. Like he gives the example of Lord Shiva, like when Parvati
sitting on his lap.
When the in Krishna he writes when when they wanted to get Kartikeya.
Okay.
In that when Parvati distracted Lord Shiva, but he was not distracted. He was like Dhira, well composed.
Well composed.
In that sense, Prabhupada was telling, like one who can control his senses fully without deviating is known as Dhira. Like.
Okay, correct. What is the litmus test? That is the definition of Dhira.
Yeah, and also in difficult situation, if one is not getting provoked.
What is the most difficult situation for a living entity where he can get provoked or not get provoked? Is a close association of opposite sex. That is the most difficult situation. You know, two situations for a man. One is this. Second, you give him power and authority. You give him power and authority. The innate nature of exploiting others will come out. And second, as the scriptures wants, so W square, woman and wealth, as they call it, like that. TK, anyways. All right, let's go to the next paragraph. Madharanjana, please read the next paragraph.
Hare Krishna. The material body and mind are bad bargains for the spiritual living entity. The living entity has actual functions in the living spiritual world, but this material world is dead. As long as the living spiritual sparks manipulate the dead lumps of matter, the dead world appears to be a living world. Actually, it is the living souls, the parts and parcels of the supreme living being who move the world. The Dhiras have come to know all these facts by hearing them from superior authorities and have realized this knowledge by following the regulated principles.
Beautiful point. We have heard from the authorities and we have realized it by our practice. So hearing is alone not sufficient, although hearing is very powerful, no doubt about it. But hearing has to be accompanied with the practice. We should also be able to apply what we are hearing to our own capacity. So first is the qualification of the speaker. He should be himself be Dhira, for whom we are hearing. So that consciousness is a very interesting phenomenon, how it all works. In our current context of knowledge, not current context of knowledge of ours, but of the world, their understanding is very much limited to gross elements. If you want to cook, take a look at the recipe, prepare, and that is how you can prepare good food. But in a Vedic science, the good cooking just does not depend on if you have added sufficient amount of salt and spices. Good cooking and healthy cooking depends a lot on the consciousness of the person who is cooking, of which the modern science has no understanding. So similarly, if you look at from Vedic paradigm, anything and everything we do the consciousness of an individual matters the most. Similarly, the speaker, what is his or her consciousness? That is what gonna move the audience. The words act as an empty husk. The substance in that, or in those words, is the consciousness of the speaker. His Grace Chaitanya Charanpur was quoting recently very beautiful points of his interaction with his Honorable Radhanath Maharaj to help you understand again this principle. So he was discussing with Maharaj about something about his strength and weakness. Strength is he's highly intellectual. Weakness is he's over-intellectual, because of which the audience failed to understand him. So he was just saying, Maharaj, what should I do? Something like that in that line. So, how should I present myself to the audience so audience can understand, etc., etc. So Maharaj said, well, I am neither intellectual like you, nor I know many jokes like Gaur Gopal Prabhu. But I have been blessed by one quality, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by one quality. Actually, this is the essence of Krishna. Maharaj's answers, they just like, they nail it. They're just like, if you understand philosophy, bhakti philosophy, not jnana philosophy, bhakti philosophy, it's the essence, the core essence of it. We have discussed, we have all come from Mayavadi background, so we carry a lot of insensitivity on the name of renunciation to say I'm Vairagi. We become highly insensitive, harsh and hard-hearted with devotees, with our family members, etc., etc. But it's other way around. Anyways, Maharaj said, I have been blessed with a lot of concern for others, deep empathy for others. So when I speak, I neither know how to crack jokes, nor I'm intellectual, but I really care for them. So whatever I speak really moves the audience. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, if you want to make your classes presentable, which can transform the audience, start caring for your audience. And he said, what? Start caring for audience? What do you mean start caring for audience? And then he discovers that a little bit, understands over a period of time what it means. So the reason I quoted an example is to again understand. I was making point, the words act as an empty husk. They don't carry, of course they carry some intellectual titillation, but the strength in those words comes with your concern, your consciousness of concern, your conscious, what consciousness do I have? Therefore, those who are preaching, I often make a point, pray for those who are attending your classes. Don't be selfish. Mayavadi symptom is, we only pray for ourselves. Symptom of becoming a devotee, we pray for devotees also. We pray for everyone. So it has to start from, it always starts from a small circle, from not praying for anyone. At times, the individual acts so miserly even in prayers. Hare, maine uske liye pratna karti hu to mera kya hoga? You see that selfish mentality? This is all Mayavadi conception. It all starts from there. Then we begin to pray. At least we begin to pray for our Guru Maharaj, for our teachers, for our seniors, then for our friends, our family members. And then that influence, then that circle of concern increases to our students, to our audience, who are not even yet our student, but they're coming, and then to Vaishnava community all over the world, then to public at large. That is your growth of consciousness from Kanishta, Madhyama to Uttamadhikari. That's another way you can see yourself, where you are from Kanishta to Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari is praying for every individual living entity in this creation, not in this world. In this Hare Krishna, yeah. Got to be muted. You got to, what was I saying? Uttamadhikari prays and has a concern for every individual. So the point I was discussing about here is, again, the consciousness. The food that we prepare, no, that is not what matters, how you cook. What matters is what consciousness you carry. Similarly, before the class, we offer prayers just to prepare our consciousness. Again, understand what is the meaning of offering prayers. is to prepare our consciousness, where through these prayers we are reminding ourselves and also making a plea to the Lord, kindly allow me to become an instrument of your grace. Whatever words of inspiration you want your audience to listen or hear, let me become Nimitta Matram Bhava Savyasachi. Let me become the instrument and let your words flow through my mouth and may act as some source of transformation and inspiration for the audience. Now, if you have this consciousness, would you ever dare to take credit? Yes or no? Now, when you take a credit, if you have already disconnected yourself from the Lord, you have already disconnected from the Guru and Garanga, then what really transformation would happen in the student like this? So now somebody will say, Prabhu ji, पर हमने तो देखा है कि बहुत परिवर्तन हुआ है. वो परिवर्तन आपके वचनों से नहीं हुआ है, उसके कर्म के अनुसार हुआ है. That has happened because of his karma, not because of your pravachan. Please understand the science, how it functions. That's the first thing. I like this. Similarly, when we honor prasadam, we prepare our consciousness. What is the meaning of this prayer? Sharira Vidyajali. Prayer is not just I have to speak prayer. Okay, all right, you make a prayer, no problem. I have no problem with that. But actually, this is a prasadam. My dear Lord, thank you so much for giving me your mercy in the form of prasadam that purifies my consciousness, that gives me the strength, and that builds my builds my immunity to material disease, etc., etc. That's a consciousness, a constant prayer that it has to go with that. So if you see, every activity in Krishna consciousness has to begin with a prayer to prepare myself before I enter into it. That's a way of it, like this. I spoke all this thing, I kind of forgot. Why did I start speaking all this? What was the thing we were discussing? धीरा तो हो गया ना? धीरा तो पहले था. दूसरे पैराग्राफ क्या था? हाँ, hearing from Dhira. Yes, the Dhiras are those who have come to know all these facts by hearing of them from superior authorities, whoever realized them. Yeah, whoever realized. So we're saying two things. So you hear from a Dhira and you also practice it. And then how does it affect you? It's not only what you speak, it's a consciousness of the person. So we are making a point on whom you hear. We have to be careful. Therefore, Prabhupada says in his classic recording on the definition of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the milk is milk, but if it is touched by the lips of snake, it will still appear as a milk, but now will have a poisonous effect. Therefore, if you hear the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on the mouth of a non-devotee, it will have a poisonous effect. You remember that chanting, 1966 recording like that. Okay, so this is the point. Last paragraph, last two paragraphs are there still. Okay, Madam Medhavni, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
To follow the regulative principles, one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. The transcendental message and regulative principles come down from the spiritual master to the disciple. Such knowledge does not come in the hazardous way of nescient education. One can become a Dhira only by submissively hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. Arjuna, for example, became a Dhira by submissively hearing from Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead himself. Thus, the perfect disciple must be like Arjuna, and the spiritual master must be as good as the Lord himself. This is the process of learning Vidya, knowledge, from the Dhira, the undisturbed. Thank you, Prabhu.
Anshul Prabhu, go ahead. Read the last paragraph.
And Adhira, one who has not undergone Adhira, cannot be an instructive leader. Modern politicians who pose themselves as Dhiras are actually Adhiras, and one cannot expect perfect knowledge from them. They are simply busy seeing to their own remuneration in dollars and cents. How then can they lead the mass of people to the right people of self-realization? Thus, one must hear submissively from a Dhira in order to attain action.
One must submissively hear from the Dhira in order to get actual education in life. Therefore, those who are in front line preaching, those who are cultivating a new audience, it is of importance that they introduce that audience occasionally or not occasionally, regularly to their seniors, because it is not our words that gonna really impact them, but the words of the seniors who have been practicing for a long time and have been stably situated. Their association, short association, can really propel their growth exponentially in comparison to our hours of classes for long duration of time. So that's the culture we follow, in terms of educating and transforming. So certain individuals go and meet with the audience, start speaking to them, give them some fundamental classes, and then once in a while bring in some senior who they introduce, and that interaction helps, and that's how cultivation goes on. All right, so this is about Dhira. Who is Dhira? Hearing from Dhira. Importance of hearing from Dhira, we talked about it. Let's go to mantra 11. Vidyam cha vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayam saha avidya mrityum titva vidyaya amritamashnute. So now the result has been discussed here. Two different results. What are those results? This was talks about. Vidyam cha vidyam cha yastat vedo vayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritamashnute. Vidyam avidyam cha yastat vedo bhayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritamashnute. It's a very simple, straightforward. I'll read the translation here, maybe word to word also. Vidyam, knowledge and facts. Cha, also. And here. Avidyam, means science. Cha, and. Yaha, a person. Tad, that. Veda, knows. Ubhayam, both. Saha, simultaneous. Avidyaya, by culture of these science. Mrityum, repeated birth. Tirtva, transcending. Vidyaya, by culture of knowledge. Amritam, deathlessness. Ashnute, enjoys. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Only one who can learn the process of neat science. And yastas vedo bhayam saha, which means knowing both avidya and vidya opens the way for eternal life. Knowing one alone would not suffice. Only one who can learn the process of neat science that are transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So my question for all of you to begin the process. For us to transcend the dualities of this world, for us to cross over the ocean of material sufferings or material world, whatever you want to call it, this verse says we should know both about the spiritual reality and also about the material world. We should cultivate both vidya and avidya. Let me put it this way only. Let me know what it is. We should cultivate both vidya and avidya. Avidya is jada vidya, which is temporary. Vidya is paravidya, transcendent knowledge. Would anyone like to explain now why do you need both? One is not sufficient. Para Vidya. What is the need of Jada Vidya? Got the question? Yes. Give the mic to Shivam Prabhu.
जी भगवत गीता
Go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी भगवत गीता में भी भगवान जैसे आध्यात्मिक जगत के बारे में आत्मा की प्रकृति के बारे में बताते हैं तो साथ ही भौतिक जगत और हमारे इस 3 मोड से कैसे हम गवर्न होते वो बताते हैं जैसे अपने बारे में बताते हैं ऐसे माया के बारे में भी बताते हैं तो इस तरह हम देख सकते हैं कि ये जानना भी जरूरी है कि जिससे हम फाइट करने वाले हैं वो कितना पावरफुल है अदरवाइज हम ओवरकम नहीं कर पाएंगे वी कैन नॉट एस्केप
Okay. Good point. What else? Wait a second. I got to enable my speaker here. Yes, Mother Ashni.
Prabhuji, ultimately we have to live in this material world, and जब तक इस material world के बारे में
Ultimately,
we are
go back home.
Sorry. Ultimately, we have to go back home, but we are staying here. We have to know about this world also, and we should know what is our goal and where we are going to go.
So point is you need to maintain body. So for that, Jad Vidya is also needed. So that is a point Mother Ashni is making. Shivam Prabhu is making a point. So if I know about the Maya, then I am better equipped to fight with it. That is also a valid point. Correct both the points. What else? What else? Avidya. Why we should cultivate knowledge about Vidya and Avidya both? Purpose. No. One is okay. Purpose should be there. Not that it's given an opportunity. Hari bol. Now I can cultivate Avidya. Best source of cultivating Avidya is watch Hollywood and Bollywood movies. I can know that's not the idea. What's the purpose behind it?
We can differentiate.
Yes, Madhusudha?
We can differentiate between Vidya and Avidya.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, correct. Very nice, very nice. To differentiate. Good, good. What else? Those who are speaking offline here, you have to let me know so I can disable and speaker. Yes, go ahead.
It's also equally important to know what we are not supposed to do.
What we are not supposed to do. What else? So, correct. One point is about to cultivate detachment. Very important. We, by our conditioned nature, are very much... Okay, Sudhir Prabhu, while driving, you want to speak, maybe you have paused somewhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat. Prabhuji, Vidya may give you ego that you know everything, but Avidya, like those who are doing bhakti, they don't know what is Vidya, but still they have bhakti, which is emotionally attached to Lord, and that's why Avidya is also needed too.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Happy and safe driving, huh?
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So the point I was making was we need to also cultivate that, have an understanding for the sake of cultivating detachment. Now comes a very important point. Jiva Jago. Jiva Jago. I know. You're thinking, you're in deep meditation. So इसलिए मैं कह रहा था आ जाओ जो मैं बोलने वाला हूँ उस पे ध्यान देना. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You are deep into thinking something. So here, a very important point when it is mentioned here about Vidya and Avidya, to cultivate both Vidya and Avidya with an objective to become detached from this world. Very important. Because now in our conditioned state that we are, our default situation in the conditioned state is we are detached from the spiritual world and spiritual reality, and we are attached to this temporary reality. Now, to change the position where we become attached to the spiritual reality and become detached from the material reality, I need to know about both. And when you need to know about both, first of all, you have to ask a question, for whom do I know about both? That's a very important thing. You cannot know about, say, Vidya, I would learn from the spiritual teacher, Avidya, I would learn from my conditioned teacher. No. Both have to be learned from a bona fide guru. That's the most important one, you have to get it. Both Vidya and Avidya, you have to learn it from the bona fide guru. Just like Krishna is teaching Arjuna about the things of this world and the things of that world. Because the bona fide teacher teaches you about the Vidya and Avidya, spiritual reality and material reality, then you will develop attachment there and detachment here. But if the person of this world is going to teach you about Avidya, he would increase your attachment for this world because he thinks this is the only reality. You getting the point now? Is that clear? I'm making this point in connection from the previous verse. Iti Shushruma Dhiranam. You have to hear from sober person. So if you want to know how great is this material energy or material world, how great is the life, we have to read Prabhupada purports only. If you want to understand what are the other philosophies speak, what are the other religions speak, read Prabhupada books, you'll get it. You don't have to go and read their books to understand what is not. Because anyone and any author speaking on their subject matter is going to say this is the best. If you read from that perspective, then you develop attachment for that. Is that clear? A very important point here. Okay, let's begin with the purport. Well, what to begin with the purport? Time is about to get over. I guess once in a while is good. Teacher gets extra blessings when we finish before time. So we have 5 minutes. We'll conclude 3 minutes effectively. We'll conclude before time. Any final reflection on this point? I hope this at least a take-home message for today. Particularly this verse which says Vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayam saha. So cultivate both the path, both the knowledge. But question should be asked is, for whom do I learn? Iti Shushruma Dhirana. It has to be learned from a bona fide teacher, bona fide guru like that. So traditionally, our educational system, which was Gurukul centric, in Gurukul they were provided all the education. They were provided how to earn livelihood, and they were also taught lessons on Krishna consciousness or God consciousness or about spiritual life. That way, a balanced human being was created. Balanced human being on the basis of those 18 items of knowledge, where he knew the goal of the life is to go back to Godhead. But to go to that, to attain to that goal, I need to maintain myself. So I should perform a duty, but not by overly becoming attached to the results. Work should be performed for the purpose of purification. It's a very profound subject matter. Work should be performed for purification. It would be worth to think about it and meditate on this subject, this only. It's not an easy thing to do. To perform work only for purification. Every aspect from the Vedic perspective is yajna. Gyan, cultivating knowledge, is also yajna. Getting married is also yajna. Yajna means sacrifice, which means purification. So anything and everything we do, if you remember in the 5th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, while discussing the 8th, 9th, and 10th verse, I categorically made the point, or I often make this point, because Lord Shri Krishna says so, and Prabhupada highlights in the purport, work should be done for the purpose of purification. Can you just a little bit think about it? How would you be acting and doing things if the work has to be performed for the purpose of purification, in comparison to work to be performed for maintaining my livelihood or for enjoying my life? You can make it 3 gradations here. No devotee says, "Prabhuji, मैं तो सिर्फ अपना livelihood maintain करने के लिए कर रहा हूँ." Somebody is saying, "I'm doing it because I want to enjoy life," and the third way is to say, "I'm doing it only for my purification." There are huge difference. Maybe let's have a little discussion on that. I conclude. So all of you IT professionals, or whatever professionals you have been, had been, or going to become now, my question to all of you is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, make work as worship. The work becomes your worship. Worship means service to the Lord, if work is taken with the context of as purification. So there could be different levels of consciousness while performing a work. One is to enjoy my life. Okay. Second, I'm just doing work just to maintain my livelihood. Third, I'm doing work as a means of purification. Would any one of you like to a little bit reflect on it and say, what does it mean working on these 3 levels? अब शांति से 3 लंबी सांसें लो, सोच लो, फिर जवाब देना. You think about it. What does it mean? Or if you want to say anything about any one of the point also, that is also fine. Work for the purpose of enjoyment, work just for maintaining my livelihood, and work as a means of purification. That is Karma Yoga, not the first two. Okay, let's hear. Ritesh Prabhu is going to enlighten. Then we go to Ravi Prabhu. His hand I just saw up.
Yes, Ruji. So regarding the enjoyment, I think this comes in this.
Regarding enjoyment is simple.
Yeah,
The results of your work.
Rajas and Tamas, and then if livelihood, then it might be in
goodness. Okay.
And then if it is regarding the purpose for the purification, then it must be in the Suddha Sattva.
Fantastic. 100 out of 100. When 100 out of 100. But my question was a little different. I was not asking these activity falls in which modes of categories. My question is, what does it mean? Not to identify it as Sattva Guna, Rajas, Tamas.
So accordingly, if we have that character and if we do that, then we will get the same destination.
Okay, that is clear. We're going to get. But what does it mean? How does it translate into reality is what I'm saying. How does it translate into action? Work done as purification, work for maintaining livelihood, work for enjoyment. How does it translate into practical action? What you're saying is correct. Very wonderfully, you are identified, connected with modes of materialization and Shuddha Sattva Guna and the destination. Good. How does it translate into practical? How does the practical action looks like? I'm trying to understand that. Psychology. How would a person be behaving? Yes, Abhishek, go ahead. Abhishek, दोनों ही Abhishek हैं. ठीक है, जो भी Abhishek बोलता है, yeah. Go ahead.
So, Ruji, performing work for purification means that you are not concerned about the results that you are getting out of the.
Wrong.
I mean, result in terms of material result, but you are concerned about the purification that is going to happen with your result. I mean,
devotee is always concerned about everything. It is only Jnani who is not concerned. Get that point first. I started the session in the beginning to say not concerned. Devotee is concerned for every single thing because he sees everything as energy of the Lord. There is never ever could question arise for a devotee that he is not concerned. It doesn't exist. No concerned word does not exist in the dictionary of a devotee. All right? Impossible. When everything belongs to the Lord, how can I not be concerned for that? Okay, now paraphrase and change that.
So he is not concerned about the result for himself, but whatever results he is getting, he is dovetailing it to the service of Lord.
Okay, give a better try. Okay, who wants to give a try? Okay, go ahead, Abhishek. Good try.
But the consciousness level, like if I know that this is work for my purification, then something bad situation or bad results will not affect. I will try to tolerate it. This is for my purification. If my boss is angry, okay, this is my purification. If something good results come up, then also I will think, okay, this is
okay, we at least have reached one step further now from wherever our discussion was. One step further discussion is saying, so he just does the needful. He just does the needful, knowing that, because work as a purification is also includes work for my livelihood. It includes that. It doesn't exclude that. I hope you understand that. Includes, which means all right, so be it. But work only as livelihood does not necessarily mean work for purification, because then this consciousness would not be there. So at least a step forward. Very good point. Let's move further. All right. No, ho gaya. Ek chance. No double chance. Only one time, Michael. Okay. Ravi Prabhu, let's go to online audience now. Ravi Prabhu, let's hear from
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So, for what I understand, enjoyments, it is more towards oriented towards bodily consciousness, and maintain livelihood is also bodily consciousness, but purifications is more towards God's consciousness. So that's how I look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Mother Yagya.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when we work for self-interest, number one is basically that we work for sense enjoyment. Then we move ahead and discriminate what's needed. Then we can work for like our livelihood. And a step further is when we do it for purification, then there is a lot of anarth-nivriti that's happening, and we start moving towards the progress.
I mean, theoretically, philosophically, all correct. That's going to happen. So you sound like a doctor. So, beta, if you take this paracetamol for 3 days, slowly your symptoms will go down, which is correct. So nice. I'm looking more for realistic actions. For me, when it is done as work as purification, what it means. So you're correct. Correct. So all right. I guess our time is up here. Okay. Hey, who is unmuted? Kiski background noise aa rahi hai? Okay, Varun, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I think work in the mode of getting purified is more about being in a frame of mind where everything you do, you think about whether this work is going to benefit somebody. Is it going to be kind of a service to others, to my guru, to someone, and is it going to help someone rather than thinking about myself?
Okay. So I guess we'll pause here. I'll give you the clue. Figure it out. And then when we catch up again, tomorrow is Bhagavatam class. We don't have class on Saturday, Sunday. Then I'm out next week for a couple of days. So we might catch up on Thursday probably. With Thursday, I have again program for symbiosis. I'll come back. So read 12th chapter, verse number 8 to 12. Maybe try reading 12 times. Okay, so that's a little tricky. You have a couple of days now. You almost have a week. We meet again. We're catching up next Thursday now directly, right? So if you're catching up next Thursday directly, you have a week. So 12th chapter, verse number 8 to 12. You can read it every day with this at the back of your mind, what it means. Work as purification, work as maintaining livelihood, and work for enjoyment. I mean, the work for enjoyment is already clear, largely to us. The subtle difference between work as for purification and work for livelihood. There's one subtle difference. I'm so tempted to speak, but I'm going to be acting to be dhira today. Tolerate. I want to give you homework so that you all go back also, do a little introspection on that. So I would prefer to tolerate today. Yes. Krishna. So in work for purification, we offer the resistance Krishna. Okay. Now I've given the hint, so you are getting you're remembering those verses. Okay. Steady. All right. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri ISOPANISHAD ki jai. So what we were doing actually, we were discussing the 11th verse translation only, like that. And 2-3 important points came from that. And we'll take a look at the purport. And then 12, 13, 14 is the one sequence. And then 15, 16, 17. I'm counting the verses. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya ki jai. Hare Krishna.